That means it's the return of Tony Davis. It's the return of Jack Sullivan. Neither of us are in our usual locations. We're both in remote spots. I'm coming to you live from inside the lobby of the MGM Grand in fabulous Las Vegas, Nevada. Jack was on the way from moving a chicken coop. Uh, but we made a commitment and here we are as usual on time, actually as usual a few minutes late, but that's just how we roll. But here we are for another episode of Made of Metal. Jack, how you doing, man?
Good. I'm good. I was the muscle for some chicken coop moving, and what better way to bring on a travel episode with us both not being at home?
Yeah, it worked out pretty fantastically at the end of the day, right?
Did how so you just used to Vegas today?
Yeah. Like I just got to the hotel maybe 10 minutes before we hit live on this recording. So I was halfway scrambling around looking for some place to sit. Obviously found a spot, but yeah, it's I just got to Vegas, so I'll be doing a little bit of walking around after we get off the call here.
Awesome. Go walk the F1 course.
No, because not only is it not open until was it not originally scheduled to be open until tomorrow, they pushed the date back to May 2nd.
Oh, you got screwed.
So the like F1 arena thing, the F1 Grand Prix Plaza that they are planning to open is now delayed by about a month. But maybe I'll still just kind of walk around and see how far I can go. I did get to see the Sphere, so I was like, oh, that's where the track is. Granted, it's on like half the strip too, so
That's cool though. Exciting. It's a cool place to be. I've
yeah,
not been to Vegas.
it's not bad, man.
Heard it's
More and
dirty.
more
Is it
there's more
dirty?
and more fun stuff to do. No, it's actually surprisingly clean.
Right. Right.
At least the parts I've seen so far, which hasn't been very much yet. I'll give you a report when I leave. Huh.
Perfect. Perfect.
All right. Well,
Cool.
since you're not at your normal spot, since I'm not at my normal spot, that just serendipitously takes us right into the topic for this week, which is a travel episode. I think we've done one before, Jack, but we're going to do another one because now it is starting to warm up. So everybody's starting to think about traveling and where they want to go for the spring, where they want to go for the summer when school's out, all sorts of stuff like that. The inevitable question comes up whenever travel comes into play, which is what am I going to do about my fitness? What am I going to do to stay on track? Am I going to end up undoing everything I've worked hard for since January 1st or January 3rd, whenever you really started? Um, and so that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about how to keep that momentum going, whether you're going on a trip or whether you're not. And we're just going to talk about traps people fall into, and we're going to talk about ways to get around those traps, ways to avoid them, and things to focus on no matter where you are.
Like it. I like it. I like it. This is good timing too. I had a couple clients that have had vacations. Some of them are in the middle of, a dieting phase, and it's navigating it because it can be scary, right? It's kind of like a simple concept in theory, but when it comes to application, there's so many things that can feed into you making maybe less than ideal decisions.
Yeah, and I think it really comes down to a super common trap that I see people falling into, which is this all or nothing thinking, which is basically that when you get set up with a plan, once you settle into that routine, that's basically all you can do. You can only do this routine that is built around usually your work schedule and your Monday through Friday life, and you have a second plan for the weekends, maybe. And when it comes to a vacation, obviously all of that goes out the window. So we just decide to throw everything in the trash alongside with our routine.
Yeah, and this is I know we kind of covered this a couple episodes ago when you were talking about how he's like you don't have to bring your scale with you someplace, but you could, and it kind of leads into it's like well if you were traveling and you're in this all or nothing mentality, and just because your environment changed, you feel like you have to let everything go. That's a clear sign that you probably didn't prep appropriately for the trip.
Yeah. And I think it's a sign that your plan overall is shit.
Agreed.
Because if it doesn't allow for flexibility of simply being in a different location, like what's the plan doing? It's keeping you as a prisoner in a box. And that's not really useful for anybody. So um my hope today, and I think Jack shares this, is to share a few pieces of information, a few ideas to help people prevent themselves from being boxed in when they're in their normal habitat, their normal environment, while not feeling guilty when they go on vacation and they end up, what's usually inevitable is just venturing off plan for whatever reason.
I do agree.
So, with that said, the first thing I really want to talk about when we bring up vacations, when we bring up how to stay on track, how to keep things going, is you got to come at it from the mindset of where you're approaching it in general. So a lot of it, right? We talk about habits, we talk about mindset, exercise, nutrition, and with all those laid out on the table, we talk about everything coming down to the habits that we lay in. And this is how we end up boxed into that routine, right? Because we have these habits where it's like when it's Monday through Friday, we know that we go to work. When we get to work, we have breakfast, we have this for lunch, we have this for dinner when we get out of work. We go to the gym these times because it's right when we get out of work, or it's on our way to work, or it all makes this nice tight little routine that keeps us moving along very, very fluidly. And then something gets in the way, like a vacation, and suddenly we don't know what to do. And really, I think we approach this wrong, Jack. I think this is an issue with dieting and fitness in general. And I think when we go on a vacation or when something comes up that takes us off our plan, this is an opportunity. It's a great learning moment for everybody involved because now we get a chance to rethink our habits. We don't have to abandon the entire plan. We can actually take a step back, take a seat, look at everything and realize and analyze everything and think about how important everything is and consider maybe how things can be retweaked so that they can be as flexible as we actually need them to be.
Agreed. And that's something too, is like you have to remember that no matter where someone travels, there's obviously going to be restaurants, there's going to be convenience food, there's grocery stores. Boom. And it's just I sometimes people's heads fall at their asses when they travel because they're somewhere else. They're like, I don't have any regular food. And you're almost always within a handful of miles, an Uber ride, a walk from someplace where you can get food. And I think uh, something that I think travel, if you have had that oh shit moment when you travel, it's learning how to turn it into like a learning experience. Instead of panicking, it's figuring out how can I get creative. And you might have to take more of the approach that we're both a fan of, is like the protein and total calories route, where it gives you more flexibility. You can, have some cheaper foods and obviously aim for the ones that don't make you feel like crap, but the door is wide open to so many different alternatives, right? Like
This is a
protein,
th-
right?
this is available at every gas station, most gas stations, not every gas station, because I've gone into somewhere they have none, but like 90% of gas stations have some form of a ready to drink protein shake.
Yep.
So when we take that simpler route of the protein and calories, which by the way, this is exactly why these are the only two things I have my clients focus on, is the only two things I focus on. So that when I fly somewhere to, Las Vegas, Nevada, and then I'm going to be in Orlando this weekend, I can wake up and know, cool, all I have to do is get my protein. If I really, really wanted to and not even worry about it, I can just go get like a 4 or 6 pack of these for every day and I'm set. And I have to worry about nothing else to make it as simple as possible.
And it starts, right? Like we're coming from having the understanding of tracking, right? Understanding how much of what that you're looking for, and then where to get those things. Obviously, you got to take the time to learn how to track. That's why we're both fans of working with coaches. But It's it's allowing yourself to have the freedom of choice with food, the flexibility. And
Yeah.
then the stress begins to dissipate because instead of going, well, I could only eat whole food and I'm traveling and there's only convenience, it's like there's still protein, carbs, and fats in all of these things, even though they're
Mhm.
not whole food. So I think that's it's like you have to learn how to do that and then practice. So what I always tell, right? Like we're both fans of, there's no such thing as a macro emergency. You're not going to just explode and blow up and gain a bunch of fat overnight or over a long weekend. Sure, there might be some scale fluctuations, but it's understanding that a couple of days of things being off, whether they're high, low, right on, you might feel a little different. You might see the scale, you might see some visual changes, but it's not going to last as soon as you get back to your usual, more calculated self. So you got to give yourself some grace there when you're traveling. You don't need it to be perfect. Uh, but I think it's all you have to learn how to do it and what works well for you. Where like you said, it's like grabbing those protein shakes. I'm the same way. I'll do the same thing. It's protein bars, beef jerky, and protein shakes when I'm traveling. Plenty of water. Find something that's got fiber because I always tend to get a little more backed up. But those are like my basic go-tos, and the rest of it, there's restaurants, there's grocery stores. Fill in the fill in the gaps.
Yeah, and I mean it gives you an opportunity, any sort of wrench in the works gives you an opportunity, if you choose to accept it, to look at your plan and figure out how to simplify everything even more. Because if it's simple enough, it's that much less likely that you'll fall off. Right. For example, I know that right now I'm shooting for about 230 grams of protein. So as long as I just shoot that, as long as I hit that per day, and my calories are like 3,600 right now, which that's a ton of space for like all sorts of different things. But let's just take that off the table, right? Let's just say you're doing 2,400 calories and like 100, what's that probably going to be, like 180 grams of protein or somewhere around there. If you know that all you have to do is just get your 180 grams of protein and your 2,400 calories, you can use protein shakes. You can use these to get a portion of your 180. This is 40 right here. So if you have four of these, you're already at 160. So if you have two, there's 80. Then you just have to worry about the other 100 grams of protein, which usually over the course of a day, pretty easy to come across with even the highly processed or like buffet style foods like you'll see here in Vegas. And then you really just have to worry about the calorie gain, which at the same time, if you keep your protein high and you focus on that, in a lot of cases, the calories sort of regulate themselves unconsciously, and you will find that you just won't be that hungry for that much food. And obviously, when you're not that hungry, then it becomes less of an issue. So really, you look at, if you're coming from your strict box and you have your calories and your carbs and your fat and your protein and everything else that you're worried about, and you're worried about fiber and you're worried about vitamins, you're worried about all these different levels, all these different levers all at once. That's fine when you have control over everything else, right? When you have control over your work schedule, you have control over your home schedule. But what happens when that changes? And that's the point that I keep circling back to, that is what happens when that changes. When that changes, some of those things tend to fall away. They tend to go by the wayside. So then ask yourself, it's falling by the wayside. Is it really that important in the first place? And for most of those things that I just laid out, they're important, but are they important to focus on? And that's a different question altogether. Because if you're getting your whole food, you, for the most part, don't really need to worry about vitamins. If you're getting animal protein, you typically don't need to worry about fat. You don't need to worry about a few other vitamins. And if you're just getting whole foods in general, don't have to worry about things like fiber, because if you're focused on whole foods, you're taking care of all those other boxes.
Again, I couldn't agree more, and I think it takes time. It takes a couple experiences to kind of hone this in, and then the more serious you are, the more serious you will take your travel and your prep and how you navigate everything. But it really, after you have the baseline understanding of tracking, finding the foods is not the difficult part. the difficult part usually is navigating your environment and people, and then knowing it's okay to have lesser quality foods here and there because there's no reason you can't fit it in.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I woke up I had sort of a late start nutrition wise today. So my lunch, I went to my favorite burger joint. I went to McDonald's, had a double quarter pounder, and had some fries. I don't know. I got the calories and the protein for it. I got space.
Yep. Yep. And I think
So
so, and to again, just to that point, just because my mind went there, I'm going to bring it up. But a lot of people don't like the idea of processed food being in diets because of all the backlash that it gets. But it's that baseline understanding of the average American. The average American's diet consists of unregulated calories, little
mhm,
to no exercise or activity. So they're eating, you know, they're eating in excess.
mhm.
So that's part of the reason why these things get such a bad rap. Obviously, if things don't make you feel good, don't eat them, please.
Yeah.
But aside from that, there's no reason you can't. Like the other day, I grabbed a Rice Krispie bar that had 90 carbs in it and a spicy chicken sandwich that had, I think it was like it was like almost 30 grams of protein and 20 grams of fat. Like that was part of my midday. But is that
Yeah.
my normal rice and beef and peppers or something? No.
Maybe. I don't know.
Well, I mean, like, but if I'm at
I
home
mean,
most of the time, like that's what I'm eating. But if I'm going, like, there's no reason I can't go get something like that. I have the calories.
yeah. I mean, I don't I you're talking to the guy that goes to McDonald's like 4 or 5 times a week for a cheeseburger and like
Right, right.
feels great, has tons of energy, is super strong and is decently lean at this point year round. So like
Super
I
strong
like
yet to be tested.
so it's like what am I doing different? Oh, I'm tracking everything. But nobody wants to have that conversation.
It
So
takes time and it's a skill to develop.
it takes time, it's a skill, and it's time that I'm willing to help people shave off because like you want to just sit down and I'll just teach you how to do it real quick and I'll save you months and years of figuring it out that I spent doing it on my own because I will.
Yeah.
And I've been going back through all this research about, artificial ingredients and food dyes and all this and looking at the studies that talk about health risks because that's like the big topic from RFK, right? Is food dyes and seed oils. And
Hmm.
I found something super interesting. This is really on topic, but this will be a segue and we'll probably we'll head back on track. So we're looking at these studies and I've noticed a few things. One is not a single study actually links the chemical in question as the cause of the issue. At best, they just notice a correlation, meaning people that consume these things also have these health issues. That does not mean that those things cause that health issue. That just means that they both coincide. And
Yeah,
the other
that was
thing,
that discussion we had that like if they start making these changes, which they already have, are the outcomes going to change at all?
yeah,
Probably not.
and
Probably not.
and no, because what they've already found out at what's the place Steak and Shake that switched all their fries to beef tallow? Now they have more calories. So is that going to be healthier or is that going to be less healthy? Is that going to what's that going to do? 'Cause I can already tell you what it's going to do. Nobody wants to hear what I say, what I think it's going to do, but I already know. Um, and the other thing that I notice as I look back through all these studies and I look at the whatever info is available on the participants is that normally the participants that are in these studies are already overweight. There's not a whole lot of these studies that are being done, including lean people or focused on lean people. And so now my theory is that if you were decently lean, and I don't necessarily mean by any stretch of the imagination bodybuilder lean, but reasonably lean, right? I I'm hard pressed to believe that you would fall to most of these issues. And I and I mean I say that because myself, I I don't avoid food dyes, I don't avoid artificial sweeteners, I don't avoid red meat, I don't avoid eggs, I don't avoid anything that I'm supposed to avoid because they're big, scary, and evil. And my health is based on feel. is in tip-top shape. And so I don't really know what what the point is of all this fear mongering around these different foods and around everything like that. It can be, yeah, I just don't know. But anyway, that's my 2 cents on that. Hopping back on track, we're talking about traveling. So as we go back, let's talk about uh nutrition tips while traveling, because that's really the big thing. The biggest thing that we can do while traveling is keep a focus on our nutrition. So again, we talk about focusing on habits, looking at everything that we're doing and evaluating whether or not the things that we're doing are actually necessary and whether or not we should really be focusing on them with a ton of mental energy, with a ton of mental capacity. And the best tactic that I can give for somebody that's traveling that wants to keep up with their nutrition is to make it as simple as possible. Focus on one or two things and really don't care about the rest. And again, I would position that those are probably the only one or two things that you might need to focus on the entire time, whether you're traveling or not. And for me and for my clients and anybody that asks me, I'm always going to bring it back to calories and protein. That's it. Just focus on those two things. And if you really want to make it even simpler, don't even worry about calories. Just no.
Oh, I lost you.
Oh, 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 there we
Back.
go. All right, we still cruising? I think we're still cruising.
So good.
Cool. Jack, what was the last thing you caught? I don't know where it cut off.
I probably lost you for a good 30 seconds.
Ooh, okay. So basically, in that 30 seconds, I was just talking about really is the simplest thing I would suggest to somebody if they were traveling and they wanted to keep on the ball with their fitness, with their nutrition side of things. And at bare bones, if you wanted to keep it as simple as possible, just focus on protein. Don't worry about the calories, don't worry about the carbs, don't worry about the fat, just focus on the protein. If you want to take it the next step, protein and calories, call it a day. Don't even worry about the rest.
Yeah, it's kind of like that idea of like choosing your battle. And that's something, again, like I had a client that re was recently traveling, and it's like if some of this feels overwhelming, it's like obviously prioritize protein and then make wise food choices, right? It's mostly about not overdoing portions. You're still not overdoing
Mhm.
portions, and how do I want to feel 30 minutes from now? How do I want to feel 60 minutes from now? Those
Yeah.
are the things to work off of. And then, like you said, it's like you can ramp it up. Okay, we're gonna go protein and calories. We're gonna get a little bit more hardcore. Um, right? It's choosing your battle. So if this is something you're just starting, I think prioritizing protein, any form of protein, don't get overly picky right off the bat, but start there. And then the next time you travel, up it a little bit. You know, like, I'm gonna check my protein and my calories, you know, or I'm going to choose specific types of foods because that's what I want to do. Like, cool, but choose your battle, right? And it's nice to know that there's options to do that. And anyone that's ever taken the time to track just protein, you realize like it's pretty easy, but it also creates momentum to you wanting to track more because it's not too difficult. Just takes a little extra time, but
Yeah, yeah, and by little extra time, we're talking like 3 minutes.
collectively,
Oh, yeah, over the course of an entire day, we're talking like 3 minutes.
yeah. Yeah, once you hone that skill, it really doesn't take that long.
Mhm.
But I think right. It's finding those couple things that you feel good, you feel confident with, and it's just like lock in, use those, because then you're creating a new habit when you travel. You have a plan, and the next time you think about travel, you don't immediately go to, oh my gosh, what am I gonna do? It's I know what I'm gonna do. Here's
Yeah.
step one, right? Like suddenly then it's not so scary. It's always the things that we lack experience or knowledge with that we quote unquote fear.
You fear
And
uncertainty.
Yeah. And part of it's like, well, if you've never done this before, why should you know what you need to do? It takes practice. Learn from it
Yeah.
and do it again.
It's
And then create a pattern, create a habit that serves you.
yeah, it takes practice. It's a skill, which means you have to build it up, which means if you really want to shortcut that process, you go to Instagram, you message Tony Davis coaching, or you go to Instagram, you message modern underscore strength, and you go, hey, what would you do if you were going on this vacation? And I don't know how Jack will handle the conversation, but it's probably going to be the same way that I would, which is like, this is exactly what I would do. Like within that DM, I would just give you like, this is what I would do if I was going to Vegas for a day, followed by Orlando for 3, or if I was going to Vegas for a week, which I'll be back here in like 2 weeks for WrestleMania stuff. Like I would just like this. It's not a cool. Let's hop on a call. It's $50 and we'll talk about it. No, it's like in that message. This is exactly what I would do. Adapt that to yourself.
Yep. Yep. Yeah, and I think the only caveat is if that client has additional questions. That would be the only reason you'd have to jump on another call and or just to kind of rehash the plan and be like, okay, this is what went well last time according to plan. These are the things I strayed from and why. Um, but no, I know I keep saying it was just like you have to take the time to practice and fail to learn what you need to change so that you can have more of a plan ahead of time to prep and attack and not panic. Um, Other than that, again, we don't need to beat a dead horse.
And then you also have to realize that when you do fail, it's not the end of the world. It's
No
just
macro emergencies, damn it.
it's not an emergency. Just get back on track when you get back home. Figure it out for the next vacation. You're done. It's that easy. That's
Mhm.
all.
Yes. Yeah, I think one of the biggest things is like we've been saying it without saying it, was just like make sure you're going in with good intentions,
Mhm.
right? Trust yourself. That's what I oftentimes clients will get from me is like the last thing I'll say is like trust yourself. Like you're not an idiot. You know more than the average person, and that counts for a lot. Like do not let go of that, but you need to trust yourself. And the way you keep your self-trust is by following through. Creating a result creates confidence, right? Creating a desirable result creates confidence. And the next time you have something to think back on, you have an experience to look back on where you were successful. And then all of a sudden, that's just what you do.
Yeah. And the follow through doesn't even have to be successful. The follow through just has to be intentional. Like Jack said, like if you try and fail, you will still build trust in yourself as if you tried and succeeded. Because the trust doesn't come from the success. The trust comes from the trying because you're attempting to get yourself somewhere. When you fail, you have that opportunity to take a step back, look at it, go figure out what went wrong, come back next time and do better.
And I think this is one of those scenarios where, right, you'll hear about people that, oh, I tried to do a diet for X amount of years. I tried to work out for so long. And the problem was they weren't taking a neutral look at it from the outside. And I think this is like a really cool opportunity is like if you've been running into stuff like that is like that's like the clear sign to like reach out for help because that's what a coach is going to do. That's what we're going to do. We're going to go, okay, run me through it. How did you feel? How did you act? How did other people blah blah blah? And all of a sudden you're looking at yourself. I always I use the examples like consider yourself a container, right? You have a nutrition label on you, but take yourself out of the container, right? Look at the muscle milk container that is Tony Davis. I almost said Tony Stark, and look at the label, you know? Like, what was his compliance? How much protein did he consume? What was his mood like? What were his cravings like? What does all of this tell us? But it's like you have to be able to evaluate these things so you can look at what you are or are not doing and how it serves you or takes away from you and your goal. Because it happens way too often that people are like, oh, I'm doing this, but then they're actually on the path that takes them some completely other direction.
Yeah. And so, I mean, really, all that just to button up and just say, keep it as simple as possible. Learn and do better next time because it's the constant cycle. And then eventually it'll become a habit, just like packing your toothbrush for vacation. Like when I go on the road with Tommy for wrestling, it's toothbrush, it's toothpaste, it's wrestling gear, it's a 4 pack of protein shakes. That's like it all happens automatically.
Tony, I would say Tommy wouldn't let you travel without protein, so you're going to
I know
succeed.
if I don't, he would have me dry scoop protein, and I'm not about that life. So yeah, so I make sure I have protein.
You get enough spit in your mouth, it'd be fine.
Yeah, I'm not about that life. Nope.
Uh,
Mm-mm.
no, not at all. But yeah, I mean, I think protein wise, if we're looking at how you're going to go about nutrition, we've said it how many times is like protein's going to be your priority. Keeps you full longer. Um, and
And it's
then
so easy now. It's so
I
easy
know.
now, especially in the past couple years. And this is why. When you go pick up something that has protein, it says this right on the label. It tells you exactly what it has. So this says 40 grams. If you go to a gas station, you get beef jerky, it'll say 20 grams. It'll say whatever it is. I went and I got a sandwich at the same gas station. I got this. It was just a turkey and cheese sandwich. It said 25 grams right on the front. Like it's there. And if it's not there, you just flip it to the back and it's always in the same spot on every label. It tells you there too. It's super easy to
Crazy.
just keep track of that one thing and
Hmm.
just say, I just need to get that to 150. I just need to get that to 180. It doesn't matter how you get there because really at the end of the day, it doesn't. Not enough worth worrying about. Just get to that
Especially while
number.
traveling. Especially while traveling.
Yeah. If you make high protein choices, keep them low fat, low-ish fat. It doesn't have to be fat free, but
Yep. I think something
you'll
else,
you'll you'll just get there.
it's have it right. It's either like make like we'll always tell clients too, is like if you're gonna have snacks, make sure they're protein based. The reason being is obviously helps you hit your protein goal, but it keeps you fuller longer, helps you not to have as many cravings with like snacky type foods. So, what we're saying is like go get a protein shake or a protein bar. And if you want to pair it with something, right, you could go anywhere from a banana or an apple to a cheese stick to a bag of chips. Like you can make it work if you have an understanding of how many calories you need in your
Take
day.
a bag of Doritos and dip the chips in Greek yogurt.
It's like it
I-
seasons itself while
I'm
you dip it.
I'm dead serious. Get a cup of like the Oikos triple zero or the ratios and just use that as dip.
I like that. I like that. I never would have thought of that. Well, you might as well sprinkle
It's
some beef jerky on there too.
yeah, yeah, that's it. Done. Bag of Doritos is what, $3, $4, depending on the size and depending on where you are. The yogurt's another dollar, two if it's the ratios, $6.
Mm, yeah. You're gonna pay more when you go out somewhere else.
Yeah, $6.
Or
You're up
same.
25 grams of protein. You're up 600 calories,
Yeah.
and
It's
it's going
not.
to taste delicious, and it'll hold you over until the next meal easily.
Mhm. And so the other approach too is like if you're going at smaller chunks or looking at having a larger meal with like a bigger portion of protein, right? Where you're sitting down and you're getting 50 to 100 grams of protein. I think that's a fair amount for most people. But 50 to 100, right? Like if your goal was, 180 to 200 and you just hit half of it in one sitting, you're going to be full for a long period of time and then you're covered. Like you're good
Mhm.
until, I don't know, 6 hours, 8 hours later.
Yeah, my buffet strategy, because I'm in Vegas and that just comes to mind because there's lots of buffets here. My buffet strategy is the entire first plate is nothing but protein. So I'm gonna get more than one plate because that's what you do when you're at a buffet. I'm not gonna tell anybody, okay, go to a buffet, but you can only get one plate. Like, sure, that would work, but how realistic is that for most people? Not very. So like, what can we do to have people enjoy the experience of being at a buffet? Because that's really what it's about. It's about the experience rather than just the food. Make your first plate entirely protein or as protein heavy as possible. It's all the chicken, it's all the steak, it's whatever, right? Second plate can then be whatever.
Yeah, 'cause it makes it hard to overeat after that because the protein's so filling and you had a good sized portion. So, even
You've
if you
had an entire plate of protein. That's probably like a
yeah.
pound of protein. That's solid 100 grams easy. By the time you finish that plate, let it set, go back for your second plate. Again, you can have whatever you want, but your eyes will be appropriately sized to your stomach at that point. They're not going to be bigger than your stomach, which is usually what happens when people walk into a buffet. So you're going to still see the same foods and you're still going to like and be drawn to the same foods, but you're probably going to take less of them. Or
Mhm.
even if you don't, even if you pile the plate super high,
Are you
the
gonna eat it
likelihood
all?
that, correct, the likelihood that you finish that plate drops dramatically.
Mhm. And I think the coolest thing is like I've had some clients do this and I've done it myself too, but you do that once and you're like, oh, this really works well and feels good. I'm gonna keep doing that. And then you're excited next time you go. You're like, oh, there's a buffet. Like run through your mental Rolodex of like, this is what I do. Like, cool, let's go.
Hmm.
Like again, that's freedom. You don't have to worry about it. You just take the day in stride.
Yeah, that's it. It's people make it harder than it has to be for a lot of different reasons. I don't think any of those reasons is that people consciously want it to be harder, but I think we just think it has to be harder, and we're taught that it's supposed to be hard, and people at the top of the field of the industry say that it's supposed to be hard and it's supposed to suck and it's supposed to be boring. And I don't think any of that's true. I really don't. I don't think any of that's true.
I agree.
But that's just me. That's just me.
Yeah, and then
All
there's
right,
go ahead.
I'll go for it.
No, I was just gonna say the other route too, right? If you're not gonna like track, if you're not gonna use chronometer or whatever, something else. There's the path of use a palm, use a thumb, like a thumb of fat at a meal, like a mounded hand of carbs. Vegetables you can go absolutely crazy on. They don't carry that much caloric value unless they're covered in fat or dressing or something. And
Baked
then
potatoes, here I come.
protein is the size of your fist or
Mhm.
bigger, I would argue. But um, that's the other way too. It's like that's a possibility. I know it's like it's not difficult to imagine if you need to hold your hand up and go, okay, how much rice can I fit here? How
Yeah.
much chicken, right? Like when I'm going out to eat, does a steak fit there? Oh yeah, it's a good. So simplifying it that way, I think that goes a long way. Um, but yeah, as far as tactics, but
And if you really wanted to be mega simple, if you want it to be as foolproof as possible, you take something like this, maybe not a 40-gram version, but you take something like this and you have this either with or before every meal. Done.
mhm.
That's it. That's the only thing to make it as absolutely simple and brainless as possible. That's it. Just do that.
So imagining you with a belt with like protein milks.
Just like a utility belt full of just protein shakes. Only
Like,
only if I had a button like on my watch, so I could push it and it just shoots it up and I
yep,
just catch it super cool.
go gadget protein shake.
Yeah, I'm down. I'll do that. I'll walk down the strip doing it too.
Love it. Love it. It's not weird if it works.
It's not
Um,
weird if it works. Then you're just an innovator.
yeah, I guess another tactic too when you're looking at your day as a whole is going, okay, I'm traveling, I'm out of my normal environment. The first half of my day is pretty easy, but the second half of my day is a big question mark. I don't know what's going to go on, or maybe it's going to be chaos. You can kind of like what we said is like lean on having a heavier meal or a heavier half of your day, whether it's the front half or the back half. And that just
Mhm.
means, stay in your water so you feel good, but then look to have a larger meal or two at the front half or the back half of the day. Again, a meal or two.
Yeah, if you know that the group of people that you're with, if you know that like your goal is like you're just gonna be crushing buffets all weekend, you're probably not gonna spend all day every day at the buffet. Maybe I don't know your group. It's possible. Sounds fantastic actually. But you're probably only going for like dinner, or you're probably only going for lunch or something like that. So if you know that on Saturday night we're going to some dinner buffet, Saturday morning when you wake up, just have this. You can just have this and maybe an apple or a banana just for a little extra food, just mass. But you can have just this.
Mhm.
And that'll just, you can have this. Really, what you can do they're those premier proteins that I'm super, super all about. They have the cafe latte one that has a little bit of caffeine in it too. So you can have that. So one, the protein will slow down your hunger. Two, the caffeine will slow down your hunger even more. So you get a double whammy
And then a little boost of energy.
and a boost of energy.
Love it.
It's so easy now. It's
It,
so
it,
easy.
it really is. And even if you have allergies, like you can usually find things that fit.
Yeah. And if you don't want the premier proteins because they're milk based, you can't handle whey, you're vegetarian, vegan, anything like that. Orgain has a plant-based ready-to-drink protein shake as well. So they have you covered too.
Yeah. I've noticed a lot more plant-based stuff at
Mhm.
gas stations too, which is cool. Not that they taste as good as the other ones, but it's an option if you got to slug something back and just kind of fill a gap in your day.
Yeah. So I mean, the options are there.
They are. They definitely are.
The last thing, go for it. You have something you want to hit. You have something you want to
No,
hit.
you go. You go. I'll watch.
So the next thing I want to hit when we talk about nutrition is alcohol, because this is the hot button when it comes to traveling. Because people are, again, I think it's that uncertainty thing. People are very not sure what to do about alcohol. They're not sure how to handle it. And it leads to people just saying fuck it and just going crazy with it because it's easier than figuring out an alternative plan, especially if you're around a bunch of people that are also drinking alcohol, which
Mhm.
makes sense. And the usual advice, and this is going to be where I go off track. Jack may not follow me. Jack may, I'm not sure. Um, the usual move is to have all these hacks and these tactics and tricks for how to balance out alcohol and how to moderate it and yada yada. And that's fine. Those are cool. They're a dime a dozen. You can find them all over Google. Most coaches will have one, two, or 20 different versions, and they're okay, I guess. I want to take you down a different route, and I want to challenge you a little bit. When we think about alcohol, this is something that you want to do before you go on vacation. Because if you wait to have this conversation until you're on vacation, you're cooked. It's not going anywhere. This is definitely an either before or after vacation conversation. Because it takes some self-reflection. So you have to consider whether or not you really want to drink, or if this is just the old version of you creeping back in. Now, keep in mind, the old version of you got you to a place where you felt like you needed to make a huge change, and thus now you're on this fitness path. So, if we can reconcile that, if we can connect those dots, why would you really want to reopen that can of habits that led you down the path that you're now trying to get away from? And again, you might have that conversation and go, fuck it, I don't care about that path for these next 3 days. That's cool too. That's cool too. But Jack and I have come on here, we've talked about alcohol before. We've talked about what that can do to you short term, what that can do to you long term. Information's out there. It's not held up by any subscriptions or anything like that. Info's out there, but this is just a different conversation that I would challenge you to have with yourself when it comes to alcohol and vacation or alcohol in general.
Mhm. I think like a lot of it's going to stem from maybe how much you consumed previously or how much you consume on a regular basis, because it's gonna be different for everyone in that case.
Yeah.
Because
The thing I find though is the only people that are concerned about alcohol and vacations are the people that regularly have a history of abusing alcohol in on one level or another. The moderators before vacation don't care about their alcohol use on vacation because it's still just going to probably be moderate, maybe slightly heavier, but
Mhm.
still within the realm of moderate. The
Yeah.
only people that really care about what to do with alcohol on vacation or what to do with alcohol at family functions or what to do with alcohol on holidays are the people that know that they're going to go overboard. And they know that they're going to go overboard based off of their history with alcohol.
Mhm. And then they feel the
And
need to
so,
share that insecurity with others.
yes. And those are the people that need to have this type of conversation with themselves. Again, you can have this conversation and say, I don't give a shit. And that's fine too. It's no fur off my back. It's whatever.
Mhm.
But
See,
I think this conversation is long term more useful to these people rather than just like, oh, just alternate alcohol with water, or just have alcohol with diet soda, or just have protein before alcohol, because you're not getting those people away from the root of the issue, which is the alcohol itself. You're just creating band-aids around it.
It's one of those ones where I literally always lead in the conversation with you're a grown-ass adult. I can't tell you what to do. Like the likelihood of people following through when it comes to alcohol is usually much lower than any other plan when it comes to something that you're ingesting. Right? Just because of the effects of alcohol and the effects of the social environment, others, peer pressure. So it's like if someone I've had lots of success with people who are like, okay, I know I'm gonna drink, I don't want to overdo it. And again, there are those people that drink in moderation or drink very seldom. And I fall into that category. Like I 3 to 6 months at a shot, like will not touch alcohol. And then it's like, oh, it's a birthday. Okay, I'll have 2 drinks. I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm good. Or if it's like a friend's wedding or bachelor party or something, I have to have that conversation months ahead where I'm like, I'm gonna feel like shit the next day. Like I'm
Yeah.
willingly gonna like just overdo it because that's what everyone's doing. And I do this maybe once a year. So like it's okay, not regularly. So, but all I'm getting at is like I've had clients where there are those people that drink in moderation, right? It's literally only at special occasions, so very seldom. And we go, okay, how much do you think you're going to drink? What do like, oh, you're gonna go to a football game. How many beers are you gonna have? 4 or 5. Okay, so great.
Sweet.
Pre-plan it. See where the night goes.
Yeah.
Like you make your move. When you're in
Then
that
you're,
moment negotiating, when you're not sober potentially, it's tough. It's tough
yeah.
because your views on everything are completely different. You're thinking in the future where everyone else is thinking just like, how can I get, this certain experience right now? More alcohol.
Mhm.
And then the regret
That's why
later.
these are, yeah, that's why these are all pre-vacation or pre-special event conversations where you're like, cool, I'm going to this sports game. I'm going to have 4 beers. Awesome. Now your mission is stay under 4 beers.
Yep. Yeah. No, but it's just pre-planning. I
Yeah,
think that's part of it.
that's all it is. That's
And
literally all it is.
I've had clients too that are more on like the heavy drinker side. And
And that's
usually,
fine too, right? Like that's like you can go get blitzed if you want. My issue is this. Don't go out and go get blitzed and then come back in 3 days talking about the scale went up. Oh, I feel
right.
like shit in the gym. I'm sleeping terribly.
Yeah.
We
I
know why all that is happening.
We'll have that
Like I'm not,
conversation once.
yeah, like I'm
And from
not,
there, you know what to expect. So don't come to me acting like you're ignorant to it.
yeah, we'll have that exactly. We'll have that conversation once so I can be like, look, you and me specifically had this conversation and I laid out all these effects of alcohol. I didn't tell you not to drink. I just said if you go out and get blitzed, this is how you're gonna feel for the next like week.
Mhm.
If you still want to do it, that's fine. But then don't come back to me 2, 3 days later talking about how come I'm weak in the gym? How come I slept like shit? Why is the
Yeah,
scale up 6 pounds?
right.
I'm not gonna feel bad for you. Like some people are gonna say that makes me a bad coach. I don't care. Like,
No, you shared people are not that dumb to think that drinking is good for them. You
yeah,
can ask anyone. They actually know, but they don't care, so they continue to do it because they like that social setting, whatever. Like we're getting
yeah,
deep into another conversation, but it's just that idea of don't pretend like you don't know how it's going to make you feel and act in the next 48 to 72 hours, right? We know mood is going to be lowered. We know energy is going to be lowered. We know appetite's going to be lowered. We know energy, performance, all those things take a dip. Your weight is going to fluctuate over the next like 3 or 4 days if you don't drink after that one off. So we know. So don't again, like it's a very short conversation where it's just like,
yeah.
give yourself a week to re-regulate. That's what I tell people if they're going to start saying something. I don't get after them. I just go, you need a week. You ate a little funky, you drank, it was out of the norm. Give yourself a few days. That's all.
Yeah.
But it's a big part of society.
But
Like,
it's not an anti-alcohol point that I take, even though a lot of people think that it is because I come down on alcohol so hard. It's almost like it's some kind of drug or something. But anyway, uh, it's not anti, it's just like it's pro awareness. Like if you're gonna drink, drink. But like if you go do crack, you know how that's gonna affect you. You know how you're gonna feel afterwards.
If you've done it before, but if you haven't, how am I supposed to know? What are you trying to tell me? Are you trying to tell
Dave,
me?
Dave Chappelle told us all. I'm basing it off of Dave Chappelle.
Good save. Good save. Um,
So, you know,
yeah, it's looking at the things that you do, whether they serve you or don't serve you, and seeing what you need to do, what you want to do, why you might want to do it. Because your habits are the things that are going to lead you to a certain physique, a certain level of performance, a certain mindset. Whatever
yeah,
you're consistent with, whether it's good or bad, you can be consistent at bad things. Um, but it's figuring
everybody's,
out what's keeping you stuck, what's helping you move forward.
yeah, yeah, that's all. That's all.
All right, let's dive into training. I know you guys prioritize this even while you're out wrestling. I know like you guys are usually like we're hitting the gym a couple hours before because you gotta get it in.
Personally, I don't.
Haven't you a couple times? I could have sworn you did.
Not anymore.
Well, you
Like
have.
this last weekend, all I did in the gym while wrestling was just an hour, like 45 minutes of walking on Saturday. That was it.
We lost you.
Of the full body 3 times a week approach. I just move all my workouts around so that I don't even have to think or worry about it while I'm on the road. It's just not even an issue.
Yeah,
So I
that's
don't, so I don't, and I do it that way because I know my sleep is going to be trash because it's super late night. Because when I go to Denver, it's like 2 or 3 days of wrestling. So I know that on day one, I'm not getting to bed till 1 a.m. and I'm waking up at 6 a.m. because that's just how my body works. So that next day, anything I do in the gym is going to be trash comparatively. So I'm not even going to put myself in that situation. So I make that last workout of the week before we even leave for Denver.
Mhm.
And I did the same thing this week. I did my last workout of the week this morning before I left Albuquerque. So I don't have to worry about it today, the rest of today. I don't have to worry about it Friday. I don't have to worry about it Saturday, Sunday, or Monday, because I'm going to move Monday's workout when I'm traveling back to Albuquerque to Tuesday.
There we go.
And I'm going to be doing Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, and I will be one on track and I will not have missed a single workout.
I was to say that's what when I work with clients or even myself, it's like, okay, if I'm going to be gone, let's see how many I can get in before I have to go. So if that means I link together 2, 3 days, so be it. But then I know I'm good for the rest of the week.
Yeah.
Now, if you're traveling or on vacation for longer, it's like,
Then we play a different game.
right, it's a little different. So, right, if it's a little shorter, couple, it's like half your week. Do your workouts in the front half of the week, or
Hmm?
if you're leaving in the middle of the week, one or two at the front, one or two at the back, however, right, however many days you have. Um, so you just don't have to worry about it. And if you want to prioritize movement, go take a walk. It's free. You walk anywhere.
You can take steps anywhere.
But right, you said it's like, okay, so let's say we're going someplace for like 2 weeks and we still want to work out. What do?
Call hotels and ask for pictures of the gym.
You get a treadmill
I
and
mean,
dumbbells up to 10.
and no pairs of dumbbells. It's always just odd single dumbbells. Yeah.
Yeah.
But like, I don't, if it also depends. Like if you are somebody that travels a lot, something like a Planet Fitness, 24-hour fitness, LA Fitness membership is going to be a best friend because they're super common. If that's not the case, so just take that off the table, right? And if for some reason you don't have a Planet Fitness membership, 24 hour, whatever, right? Like I don't have them because I like other gyms. So like for me, if I were going someplace for a week, and it was nowhere near a Choose Fitness, which is the gym membership that I have that's like based in Albuquerque, Arizona, Colorado, and California. If I was out of all those areas and I was going somewhere for a week, I would pack my resistance bands and I would come up with a workout using those resistance bands, using body weight based off of what I know to still work the muscles effectively, while also realizing that there's a good chance that it's not going to be the same type of workout. It's not going to feel the same, while also realizing that there's a significant chance that there will be a reduction in muscle mass over those 1 to 2 weeks. And we're just trying to minimize or maintain what we have, but also realizing that even if that does happen, it'll come back really fast once you get back to the normal gym. And that's the important part, because everybody is worried about losing their muscle, losing their gains, and then having to work twice as hard when they come back to try to get it back. And it really, you probably end up having to work maybe a quarter as hard when you get back to the gym, because the foundation's already there. You're basically just reactivating it.
Yep. Yeah. You don't have to overthink it. Just get back to it.
Yeah. Just the point of vacation is just enjoy the vacation. So like enjoy the vacation first and foremost. Figure out the stuff around it. Like figure out protein around it, figure out training around it as best as you can. And if you're truly doing it as best as you can, then that's as best as you can.
Mhm.
Where I think people fall short and get frustrated is they think it has to be more than what they're capable of doing, and or they know they know they could actually be doing better, but they're not. They're actively not doing as best as they can because they're letting other stuff get in the way. It's usually one of those two. And more often than not, I think it's the first one of just people think that you've got to be 100% on point with what you're doing back home. And it's not really the case.
Oh, and like the perfect example is like when right, like where we met was at a nutrition conference, and subsequent conferences that we had gone to with some of our friends, there's no difference between us and the other person that works out regularly when we go. It's the fact that it's part of our routine. We could sleep in and not go to the gym and get a half-assed workout, right? Because we're just working with the equipment they have. Like we are choosing to do that. We could have chosen to sleep in, and a lot of people just don't have necessarily the people around them or the environment that leads them to do those things that they normally would. Where we go somewhere like that, and you're like, oh, I'm sharing a room with one or two other people that are fitness freaks. So, like, yeah, I mean, what else would we do?
Yeah.
You
So of course
know?
we're going to work out. So
Where
it's a lot.
if you're going with a friend or significant other that really isn't into exercise, all it takes is them to be like, no, I don't, like, yeah, I said I wanted to, but I don't really. And then all of a sudden you don't.
Yeah. And to really rip that Band-Aid off, I'm trying to figure out if there's a nice way to say this. What you're basically doing is you're giving up on your goal for the sake of the other person or the other people in the group. And again, if that's really what you want to do, fine. Like you're grown-ass adults. You can make your own choices at the end of the day. But have that conversation with yourself. Like, is that really what you want to do?
Mm-hmm.
Because, and I'm going to go off fitness for a minute. If you are in this fitness journey and you're willing to compromise on it because of somebody else, I'm willing to bet this isn't the only place in your life where you're letting that happen.
I'd agree. It's a commitment thing, and it's just that runs deeper than people would probably like to think.
Yeah. Because I'm
So
sure if you turn around to that person, to that significant other, to the group of people that you're with, because it scales, the difficulty scales with the more people that are around you that aren't going to go to the gym with you. Like if it's you and one other person, it's tough when they don't want to go with you. When it's you and like 5 other people and you're the only one that wants to go,
you got to
I've been
be
on that
you gotta-
I've been on that rusting road trip where it's 3 other people. I'm the only one that wants to go to the gym. I've been there. You gotta look those people in the face and be like, look, I'll be back in 20 minutes. I'll be back in 30 minutes, whatever it is. Like,
Yeah. Yeah, and some of that too comes with, it's like,
comes to practice. Again, it's a skill. It's just like tracking. It's a skill. The first time you do it, it's going to be hard. You'll probably still fail. You'll probably still cave. It's fine. It's okay. You're not going to knock it out of the park the first time, but it's an opportunity to go back, reflect, and do better next time.
yep, I got nothing else on that. I think piggybacking on what you had said before is just it's like I had a client that I've been working with for almost 3 months now, and a training client, and he's like, so I took your advice. I just Googled gyms in the area, and there was a gym like 2 blocks away. So he's like, I calculated how far it would be to walk, figure I could like power walk, work out for 45 minutes, get back, shower, and go to my work meeting. And he's like, I did it 2 more days. I didn't even plan on it. I don't know if you saw that. He's like, I got my whole week done in the time period because he's like, the gym was awesome. It was half the price. I had a conversation with someone at the front desk, and they're like, "Ah, you're from New York? Like, that's cool. Welcome to the area. Yeah, let me get you a punch pass for X amount of days." Like, have those conversations because if someone's like a real like gym person and they're like you're prioritizing your fitness when you're out of town, like good on you because that's not common. Like come on in. How can I make this easier for you? How can I
Yeah.
lower the the entry level?
Yeah. How can I make this even easier for you?
So it's I just like and we've encountered that too. Last time we were in Arizona together, we went to that one gym and we're like, oh, it's
Oh yeah.
supposed to be like some like $25 per drop in and there and we're someone
And it was
comment.
supposed to be for like we needed to have like Arizona IDs because the
Yes.
trial was just for local residents. None of us had Arizona IDs. We all worked out.
Yeah. Yeah. And for like 2 or 3 days. I think we went there
Yeah.
twice.
Yeah. We went there at
And
least twice.
we just paid once. They're like, yeah, here's like you're good to go. We're gonna be here tomorrow. You'll be fine. So it was just like take advantage. It does not have to be like the most serious gym, but a lot of the times sign the waiver and you're good to go. So if that's any, like go do it. Find a
But
gym,
you
find a new gym, have an experience.
Yeah, but you have to care first. That's
Right.
really it.
Yes.
Like,
No one else is doing it for you.
and really, if you really wanted to contort this a little bit in your favor, if you're on a trip with somebody and you're like, yeah, I really want to go to the gym. It's early in the morning. I want to go. The person I'm here with doesn't want to go. They just woke up. She's like, hey, do you want to sleep for another hour while I go to the gym? They're probably going to take you up on that. There's
Sure.
a good chance they're going to be like, yeah, I'll go back to sleep. Wake me up when you come back. Whatever.
Hmm. I think too is like doing stuff like that, not going with the crowd necessarily and following the plan. Again, you're creating proof, you're creating more self-trust, and the next time you have a similar experience, you're more apt to invite people along. You're more apt to just go do the thing because that's what you do.
Yeah.
And then you realize over the course of time, you're like, wow, I didn't sacrifice my goals when I was on vacation or while I was traveling or while I was blah blah blah. And then all of a sudden you can be strutting around with all those new muscles, the mindset, like that feels good.
That sounds like what I got out of doing 75 hard during NCS.
Yeah. Hey, I went on
Century
one of those
whichever
walks
one.
with you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's just that thing. It's that thing of like, especially when you can look in the eyes of the people that are close to you, because those are the opinions that will affect you the most. But when you can look at them and be like, have to go do this thing instead, I'll be back afterwards, and then you can go get the thing done. It's like a self-trust multiplier.
Mhm.
It
Yeah,
really, really is. And I can say that till I'm blue in the face. You won't get it until you actually experience it.
you have to do it. I
Mhm.
That's the whole like Andy Frisella quote, personal excellence is the ultimate rebellion. Like whatever you're dealing with, a lot of times it's like, how can I show up better in this situation, whether it's for myself or for others? And it inevitably will improve yourself or the situation.
Yeah. And a lot of times, again, it's this bears repeating, but a lot of times it is going to be hard, especially when you're starting out, but it is going to be hard to go against the grain and do the thing that nobody else wants to do, whether it's going to the gym, whether it's scaling back alcohol, whether it's going to the grocery store to buy protein shakes, or just going to the grocery store at the beginning of a trip and just doing some light grocery shopping so that the fridge is decently stocked with good choices. It can be hard to do that at first, but you practice it, and then all of a sudden, not all of a sudden, but over time, that just becomes who you are. That's just like a thing you do. Like, cool, here's the Airbnb, there's a grocery store across the street. Let's go get some stuff.
Yeah, grocery store first, then the Airbnb.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And buy 5 pounds of kale because it was on sale.
And then end the trip with 4.5.
Or you know,
That's how you know kale is a scam. You bought 5 pounds of kale for an Airbnb full of fitness coaches, and nobody but you ate it.
I had like five
Nobody but
salads
you
in
ate
2 days.
the kale. Kale is a scam.
You
It's
guys are all losers.
disgusting.
You're stupid. Just wanted to provide fiber and sustenance, and I was left eating it by the fistful while we were walking out.
That's what you get for buying kale. You should have bought spinach. We would have eaten the spinach.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm. I would take kale over spinach. Raw
Yep.
kale.
Oh, that's because you're a monster and you deserve to die with 4 pounds of kale in your coffin.
I see how you really feel. That's cool.
I'm going to.
We're just gonna
I'm,
move on. I'm gonna shut you up. We're gonna move on. I think, like one of the things that's worth touching on is travel and stress and making sure that you are recovering, making sure that you're sleeping well. Can look many different ways, right? Because if you're traveling for family, for work, you're sleeping in a different bed. Your timing on everything in your day is different. So a couple things that you can do to manage that. I think much like anything is like having the discussion with yourself ahead of time is like, okay, if I have, like I think it's very common that people are traveling for work, like even for yourself, it might feel more like play, but it's like my day might be a little different than normal. I might have to travel. My sleep is going to be messed up. But it's like, okay, how do I time block my day a little bit where I'm not going to stay out until, midnight with the crew drinking when you have to be up at whatever time. It's like, well, what do I want to feel like tomorrow? And then how am I going to feel when I actually land and get home and have to get back to normal life? You
yeah.
know, I'm gonna go to bed by 9:30, 10 o'clock. I'm going to, like it's deciding those kinds of things. It goes back to the drinking as well. How many drinks are you gonna have, if any? Go ahead.
This is why I don't. When it comes to like wrestling trips, I try my hardest to take all my workouts off the weekend, because
Yeah.
then I can go. This night is going to be trash sleep, but it doesn't matter because I really don't have anything pressing to do tomorrow.
hmm It's a good point.
Driving back home, wrestling. Okay, wrestling's tough for sure, but I don't have to make sure that I'm maximizing muscle motor unit recruitment or anything like that.
Push up your glasses,
I can,
nerd.
yeah, I can be 5% off, 10% off.
Yeah, it makes no difference. You just
Yeah,
go about your day and kind of feel a little off, but at least you don't have to be like, oh, what about my workout? Or oh, I did a half-assed workout. You don't have that. So
mhm.
again, that's a nice piggyback off of get your shit done before you travel or bookend
as
your travel
as
with
as
out.
much as possible. Sometimes it's not possible, and that's okay. But as much as possible.
Yeah.
Again, it's just coming back to and it's the same thing with sleep and stress. Like, as best as you can, right? Like, you're in a different bed, you're probably going to sleep different. If you cross a bunch of time zones, your sleep's going to be off. Are you now on a busy street? Now there's all kinds of traffic noise. That's going to mess with your sleep. But are you doing the best that you can in that situation? If you are,
It,
then what happens happens.
yeah, you'll get by. You'll get by. But yeah,
Yeah,
it's like those little things. It's like, okay, do I need to bring a sleep mask? Do I need to bring my own pillow? Do I need to bring earplugs? Like making sure you have an alarm. If you're one of those people that, maybe this is the time where you bring magnesium or something to help you sleep, just that to give you that little edge. Maybe it's something you don't use normally, like a sleep aid. We're not talking anything crazy, but like those little things can help take that edge off that you might deal with to help you sleep a little bit better.
yeah, not alcohol.
No, alcohol does not. It might put you to sleep, but it's not going to help you sleep.
Yeah, it's two very different things.
God, I hate. Ugh. Anyway, but yeah, it's tuning into that and being like, okay, what's my reality? What might I run into? And then if you run into a shit night's sleep at a hotel because of blah blah blah, it's like, okay, how do I mitigate that next time? Most hotels have earplugs and eye masks. Did you know that? You can ask. They'll probably bring it to you. So something to remember. But
And
that
again, the same grocery store and gas station where you can find these, maybe not as many gas stations, but the same grocery stores will also have earplugs. Buy like the 20 pack.
Yes, cheap, cheap, cheap. I guess the other thing too is just be like screens and lights as per usual. It's like as the sun goes down, start reducing overhead lights, start reducing screen time, all those little things. Like it helps. Turn the TV off, turn the TV down, turn the timer on the TV. If you're traveling, stuff like that. Like
Mm.
down regulation is a thing.
Yeah. But also, again, at the end of the day, as best as you can. Like, if you're really doing as best as you can and you feel like it's not as good as you think it can be, ask yourself if you can really bridge that gap. If you can, okay, work on it. And if you can't, then just leave it where it is.
Yeah, you can only control so much. You can only
Yeah.
control what you do, how you react, and you have to go into travel knowing that there's gonna be some unpredictable things. And that's part of the fun. It can be part of the stress as well, but it's just all depending
Mhm.
on how you look at it and how you plan. Because again, if you take it on the floor, like if you take it as it comes and you're one of those people that knows like you can ride that wave and it's okay, awesome. But if you're one of those people that you're like, wow, this is gonna drive me up a fucking wall, then maybe you should be a little bit more planned. Then you're a little bit more relaxed and you can enjoy it and not look back and go, oh, all I did was that's another thing. That's a pet peeve of mine is like people just bitch and moan about like all the things that went wrong that weren't in your control. It's like, what about all the things that went well and were in your control? But it's a personal thing.
Yeah.
But still, it's just like, how do we do better? And then
I share
learn.
that. There's lots of things going on right now that we won't necessarily have to go into because this is not that type of podcast. And like I just don't care about any of it because I'm like quite frankly, like I'm not doing anything about any of it. So like why am I gonna
Not gonna
spend the
waste my
mental
energy.
calories on it? Like
Hey,
is
that's the
maybe
thing.
it is. Like maybe I'm callous and cold hearted over it, but like I have beliefs about things, but unless I'm willing to go put skin in any of these games, like what's the use of getting spiraled up about it?
No, no,
Like,
nothing.
sorry, you're nope. That's where I'm
No,
gonna stop.
yeah,
Nope.
we'll move on. Um, I think like when we look at kind of end capping this, um, like your progress isn't going to stop unless you decide it's going to stop. That's your choice. A lot of the times, if you want to look at your journey, it's like we're not hitting pause, we're not hitting stop, we're not canceling. There might just be a little slowdown, right? This trip may push out you reaching your goal by some marginal amount and that you
By
give
like
too much
by like
value.
half a day.
Yes, you're like, oh my God, you're not going to notice that. You're going to forget. So it's one of those things like, don't get worked up ahead of time.
Yeah.
Understanding things from that 10,000-foot view matters a lot.
Yeah. But also, yeah, at the same time, like if you're going on vacations or going on celebrations every weekend, it's maybe a different conversation to be had. But if it's truly like a once a year or once every 6 month type of vacation or once every 3 months, like
Mhm.
even if you completely disregard everything over the past hour and change that we've talked about, and you go on one vacation a year and you just completely throw everything to the wayside, and then you just come back and you legitimately get back on your game, like 100% back on your game, you'll be fine. Like you will be okay. You won't even notice once the hangover's gone and the neurotransmitters have rebalanced and you're sleeping well again and the scale weight has balanced itself back out. Once that week of physical and physiological recovery is over, you won't even notice anything.
Mhm. Yeah, it literally is a drop in the bucket, if that.
Yeah.
Um,
It's 1 week out of 52. That's 2% of a
mhm.
year.
Not much.
2% is a rounding error. It really is, dude. It's
Yeah,
like,
and it just depends too. Is like, are you looking at it at a 12-month span? Or are you looking at it a 5 year? Because then
yeah,
it makes that week even more minuscule. And I think a lot of people need to look at their goals at a longer over a longer time horizon because that's
yeah. But
realistic.
in but in Albuquerque, now that it's starting to warm up, we have chocolate fest and we have bacon fest and we have wine festivals and we have
Oh
beer
yeah,
festivals. We have all these
it is.
festivals. We have Renaissance festivals. We have
Hmm,
all these things that are like consecutive weekends. And it's like, well, if you're going to all of those every single weekend,
you're not.
I mean, it depends. Like, I might go to the Bacon Fest and I might go to the Renaissance Fair, but
You,
like, and
you
then we
can't
have
go unless
state
you dress
fairs and
up.
we have balloon fiestas. We have all this. We have like all this cool outdoor stuff to go to. But it's like if you're not putting any effort into planning how you're going to navigate those situations, then it's no surprise when the fall comes down and these events start ramping down and you magically put on 20 pounds, and then you're going into the holidays. We're going to put on another 20.
Mhm. Then put it on repeat and just do it over and over.
Yeah, like it's not shocking.
Mm-mm. No.
You can't you can't do 4 good days every week and 3 haywire days every single week. That's 57% success rate. That's if those 4 days are perfect. That's 57%. You can't do that every week. You just
No.
can't.
No. And that's taking that look at the outside of the container, right? Remove yourself from the
Yeah.
container, look at it, and really see what
And
things are.
look at your overall situation. Like how often are you really going out and going crazy?
Hmm. Yeah,
The
and being
the
realistic,
less often you do, the less often each one really means.
and that might allow you to enjoy those things even that much more,
Yeah. Yeah.
believe it or not. Rather than doing it all the time and becoming numb to it and it's just routine,
You just have
it lost its fun when then you all of a sudden you do it more infrequently. It could be that much more special.
yeah. Yeah.
So, but yeah, I think one of the big takeaways is like you can still enjoy a trip, you can enjoy a vacation without needing to quote unquote start over. It matters a lot of how your mindset is before, during, and after, because there's people out there that, right? Some people see it as like, oh my gosh, how can they go on vacation and do all these things? Other people go, I would never go on vacation and do it. It's just like, right, there's different people and there's different perspectives, but it's working on what's the one that works with you and your goals, the one that allows you to feel the way you want to feel before, during, and after.
Yeah. But it's again, none of this information is new or revolutionary or groundbreaking. Maybe the way we're packaging it might be a little more, it might seem a little more doable for people, and that's really kind of what I hope is just the way that it gets packaged and presented. It might hit somebody's brain centers a little differently, and they're like, "Oh, I can do that. I can just focus on protein, or I can just, maybe there's no gym, but maybe I can just do steps for the day. I can maybe just do like 8,000 steps for that day and just call it a day, and then the rest is okay."
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
realize that, that's that the behaviors connected to doing those things is more important than the rigid box that the person has when their environment is prim and it's proper and it's exactly the way that they want it to be, because they know that the work schedule is this and the gym schedule is this, and they have it all locked down and they can just copy paste every week.
Mm. Yeah. Make sure your intent is good. Do your best to follow through on actions and know that nothing is going to be perfect.
But just make it as good as you can, whatever
Mhm.
that is. Make it as good as you can, and I promise you can make it better than you thought you could, even if it's still not perfect.
Mhm. Right on. Yeah, and I think what you said, we said it very early on, was just like your identity and your habits can travel with you, and if your plan doesn't allow for that, that's a problem.
Your plan is shit. Sorry. Not sorry, actually. But yeah, if your plan can only work when everything else around you is perfect, your plan is shit.
Yep. Yeah, I just think it's you gotta pick a couple things that you're willing to commit to and stick to it no matter what. And right, that's how you build the self-trust. That's how you build new habits and routines that you can carry over small travel, large travel, all those kinds of things. So just like we said from the beginning, it's like stick to just tracking your protein, stick to getting a workout in, stick to walking, right? Prioritize, pick one in each
My
category.
my goal for this weekend is protein and steps. That's it.
Mhm.
The rest is whatever. Like my calories are so high right now that the odds that I'll actually go over pretty low. So like it's not even worth worrying about. It's not worth the stress of like crap, I still have protein, 10,000 steps. The rest is fine. Already got my workouts done. I have my workouts planned and scheduled for next week after I get done with travel. So the rest of the week is what, and I'm in Las Vegas. I'm already like 6,000 steps into the day. How hard is it gonna be to get 4,000 steps on the strip is right outside?
Yeah, it's gonna happen real quick.
Yeah,
No, it's cool.
that's it.
Keep it simple, but I
Yeah,
think
keep it
again,
simple.
not overcomplicating. Keeping simple is the biggest goal, and just sit down and actually plan stuff out and look at what you might not like from previous travel and what you do want to accomplish. And then it's just like any other goal setting. How can I make this happen? What's the
Yeah.
easiest?
And then when you've made it simple and you figured out a collection of things to do while you're on this vacation, then when you go back home, ask yourself, like, does it need to be recomplicated? Or can it just stay that simple? Nine
Mhm.
times out of 10, it can probably just stay that simple.
Agreed.
Maybe you might have to bring back maybe one more thing. Maybe. But if you
But
really simplified it to the point where it's like, oh man, I can do it on vacation, guess what? That's the perfect plan, because you want a plan that you can do no matter what's going on around you. Because when you
Mhm.
have a plan that you know you can do no matter what's going on around you, guess what? You're less likely to give up on the plan, because you're like, I can do it if I'm at home. I can do it if I have to work late. I can do it if I'm on vacation.
Yeah,
And it's not even a thought.
I've had clients that go on trips and we try something a little bit different to help them feel better about their choices. And then all of a sudden they come back and they're like, I started doing that on the weekends. I'm like, great. It's convenient and it serves you. Cool.
Great.
That's
Do
what it's
more.
about.
Do
Simplify.
more of that. Yes.
Yes,
Simplify.
please. So,
All right, Jack. I already mentioned it earlier, but if people want more help with simplifying everything, if they've got travel coming up, I know we got somebody that's watching. We got Mikey that said he's actually traveling right now. So hopefully something that we've said helps him out while he's traveling.
there we
Um,
go.
but if Mikey has questions, or if anybody else, Gabe 2 is on as well.
Game
If
number two.
if anybody has questions and they have a trip coming up and they want some tips and they want some advice and they want some pointers and they want to figure out how to simplify the upcoming plan within their trip, where can they get a hold of you to figure out exactly that?
You can find me on Facebook at Jack Sullivan or Instagram modern__strength. Love covering travel tips. It's fun to workshop stuff with people to kind of figure out what they like, what they don't like, and then how to do it. And there's always this aha moment of like, oh my God, it wasn't that complicated. It's the best. Tony, Turbo Tony Davis, where can you be found?
You can find me in a bunch of places. You can find me on Facebook at Tony Davis. You can find me on Instagram and Threads at Tony Davis Coaching. If you want to see me attacking people's bodies with my body, you can head to the Duke City Championship Wrestling Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube pages. Instagram, you can see pictures, you can see clips. YouTube, you can see whole matches. You can also head to the Rocky Mountain Pro Wrestling pages on YouTube, on Rumble, and on Instagram. Instagram, you'll see clips. Rumble, you'll see matches. YouTube, you'll also see matches. So, if you made it this far, I know we ran a little bit on the long side today, but we appreciate you if you made it this far. If you're watching in pieces, we appreciate you. If you're watching the whole thing in its entirety later, we appreciate you. Also, we will be back as usual, not as always, but as usual, next Thursday with the new episode of Made of Metal. Jack Sullivan beside me. I'm Tony Davis. We're signing out. And as always, we'll see you next time.
Toodles.
Boom.